Hello and welcome. I'm Sima Katauka and you're watching World Report on NewsX World. Let's take a look at the top headlines of this hour. While speaking in Bhutan, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has stressed that conspirators behind the Delhi blast will not be spared. Even as the motive of the blast has not been confirmed, he has emphasized that security agencies are working round the clock to find the culprits. An explosion outside a court building in Pakistan's capital injures at least 8 people, according to local police. Officers have sealed off the area as investigators work to determine the cause of the blast. The U.S. Senate passes a compromise bill to end the longest government shutdown in American history. After weeks of political deadlock, the measure restores funding and delays President Trump's workforce cuts until January, now awaiting approval in the White House. A Russian commander says his forces have pushed deep into the Ukrainian city of Kupiansk and seized several train stations. He adds that troops have also taken control of an oil depot on the city's eastern edge. Iraqi people head to the polls to elect a new 329-member parliament with Prime Minister Mohammad Shia as-Sudani seeking a second term. Many voters remain skeptical of change, seeing the election as favoring established parties that control the country's oil wealth. Yemen's Houthi rebels indicate they have stopped strikes on Israel and Red Sea shipping amid a fragile Gaza ceasefire. In a letter to Hamas, they warn operations will resume if Israel renews attacks, while Israel's military has declined to comment. Iran says it seeks a peaceful nuclear agreement with the United States to end decades of tensions. A senior official insists Tehran will not compromise its national security in any future negotiations. Syria has formally joined the US-led coalition to combat ISIL following President Ahmad al-Shara's visit to Washington and meeting with President Donald Trump. Damascus says the political agreement signals cooperation against terrorism, though it does not yet include any military commitments. Now we start with India. A powerful blast near Delhi's Red Fort has killed at least 8 people. Security forces, including Delhi Police, National Investigation Agency teams, forensic experts and dog squads are examining the site for clues. Now, according to latest reports, NIA is going to take over the case. A case under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act has been registered following early intelligence and forensic findings. But the situation on ground remains grim. Many are dealing with the loss of their loved ones, while some are still awaiting to find the remains of their relatives. Let's listen in to some of the citizens who are dealing with the aftermath of this heinous act.
और क्या करें छोटी बहू ने लड़के पर फोन करा अपने पति पे क्या करें वहाँ ऐसे लाल किले पे बम फटका और हमारे मौसिन का पता नहीं फिर हमारे लड़के भी चले गए मैं भी जा रही थी वो मुझे लेके नहीं गया उसके तो छोटे बच्चे भी मेरे पास उसके जिंदा है वो लड़का मेरा उससे छोटा दोनों बहनें हैं वो आ रही ना छोटी बहू तो उसके बच्चे मेरे पास हैं तो बस वो चला गया फिर मैं बाद में गई बस ये है मेरे बच्चे को इंसाफ मिल जाए
सरकार से यही उम्मीद है
ये तो कह रही छोटे छोटे बच्चे अभी पढ़ ही रहे हैं और इसीलिए अगर चला भी गया वहाँ पढ़ाई भी फ्री है
और हमें 1:30-2 बजे के करीब सोने के लिए वहाँ बम ब्लास्ट हो गया जब हमें पता लगी तो हम भी तुरंत यहाँ से निकले वहाँ जाके देखा तो डेड बॉडी पड़ी थी और पुलिस वाले कोई उनसे जान नहीं दे रहे तो इसलिए बाहर दिखाया दिखाने के बाद 2 बच्चे हैं एक 8 साल का एक 10
भैया अशोक पता ना कैसा हुआ वो ला छुटा पता ना क्या दूती से आ रहा कितने बच्चे हैं? 3 बच्चे हैं, छोटे छोटे ही हैं। दो लड़कियां एक लड़का। क्या मांग करती है अरे कुछ तो मिले ही ना, कैसा पालेगी हमारी भाभी। हाँ, कुछ तो मिले ही ना। हाँ, 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 3 साल का लड़का। हाँ, हाँ, लड़की भी वैसी है 4 साल की, और बस 1 साल की है। हाँ, हाँ, आतंकवादियों ने करा है। हाँ, उसे सजा मिलनी चाहिए, हमारा भैया आना चाहिए। हाँ।
Now for this discussion, we welcome Suresh Goyal. He's a former Indian ambassador, joins us live from New Delhi. Thank you very much, Ambassador, for joining us again. Good to see you. Ambassador, now looking at this tragedy that has hit New Delhi, where I am, India is now probing this as an act of terrorism. From what we know so far, what could it mean as Prime Minister Narendra Modi has recently redefined India's policy against terrorism?
I will not jump into any kind of conclusions, even though there will be all possible indicators that it could be an act of terrorism. But I would like to really wait and see for the investigations to be completed and see who were responsible and what actually motivated them, and take suitable action, toughest possible action if possible, against them who perpetrated this kind of barbaric act. But I will not jump into conclusions of labeling it as such immediately now.
Right. Thank you very much for sharing that perspective. And now looking at this again, how might this tragedy influence India's current internal security strategy and interagency coordination, especially regarding intelligence sharing between central and state authorities, given the alleged links of these alleged people who are involved all the way to Jammu and Kashmir?
Now, you have raised a very interesting question. Ideally speaking, to have 100% intelligence sharing between center and the state would be very good. If we can achieve 100%, we can achieve perfect intelligence sharing. Ideally speaking, it would be very, very good if that intelligence could be actionable and we had all the details. But in a country of the size of India, and diversity that we have really, and the way and the kind of connectivity we have, when people move so fast from one place to the other, I think it's going to be very difficult to achieve that kind of an ideal situation. Therefore, what I would think is that learn lessons from what happened in Delhi yesterday, take precautionary measures, make sure that we go beyond what we were and have a better intelligence system to know what is happening. But let me assure you that whatever we try, whatever we do, there would be loopholes here and there, and there would be certain kind of mishaps here and there. I'm saying it with full realization that it could be interpreted as not owning up to the responsibilities by the state. But having worked in the government earlier and knowing how things happen and what are possible possibilities, I would only say not to condone the kind of failures or lack of action, but to make every effort to do it, but accept that sometimes these things do happen and take better action next time. That's all I can say.
Yes, indeed. With that, I would like to thank Ambassador Suresh for sharing that insight. Please stay with us as we come back to you for our next discussion as well. Now, moving on, at least 9 people have been killed and over 21 people injured after a powerful explosion ripped through a car near the Islamabad Judicial Court complex. The blast has occurred around 12:30 p.m. local time today during peak business hours, triggering panic among lawyers present at the court premises. Several vehicles which were parked nearby the explosive-laden car caught fire. Now for this discussion, we welcome back Ambassador Suresh Goyal and Mr. Fakhar Yousafzai. He's a Pakistani journalist, joins us live from Islamabad. Now, first, I would like to go to Mr. Yousafzai. Well, first, I would like to go back to Ambassador Suresh Goyal. Thank you, Ambassador, for staying with us. From what we know, it's very limited, but can you tell us what we know so far about this blast?
Well, tragic again, any loss of civilian life that takes place in any country, anywhere, is tragic. It saddens me really. It's easy to say that yes, these things have happened and it's in Pakistan, but still people are the same. Civilians, I have my sympathies with the families for what happened to their relatives. 2 or 3 points here. Number one, it will be the natural reaction on part of Pakistan to either blame BLA or to blame India for what happened. But like I said, in the case of what happened at the Red Fort in Delhi, we must fully investigate the case and find out the facts and find out what happened, and then take action to redress it. And as the Prime Minister Modi said in Thimphu today, that
Yes.
those who were responsible for it will face the toughest action for justice. There is no other way out. One thing that I would say is that Pakistan, I hope, that will realize that terrorism is bad. And to encourage terrorism as a matter of state policy is worse. I hope that they will learn the lesson from this and make sure that terrorism does not become an instrument to achieve what cannot be militarily achieved or otherwise. That's all I would say. Otherwise,
Yes,
please do investigate and take action. Yes.
Yes, thank you very much, Ambassador, for sharing that insight. Now, bringing Mr. Yousafzai to our conversation over here. Mr. Yousafzai, what more do we know from the ground so far in Islamabad?
Afternoon to everyone. Actually, the blast occurred almost 1 hour ago in the judicial complex, which is not far away. It's we can say that it's center of Islamabad. It's a very important area, whereas the other public office are situated there on that road. The suicide bomber blast blown itself in front of the judicial complex gate, and that was the lunch time. Normally in the judicial complex we have seen from early in the morning from 8 o'clock to almost 3:30 or 4 o'clock lots of people there, the lawyers, the police officers, as well as the layman, the common people which follow their cases in the judicial complex. But the thing is that more than 13 people have lost their lives in that attack, and more than 20 critically injured. In Islamabad, especially in the Pakistan Institute of Medical Sciences, which is the biggest hospital of the capital, the emergency imposed there, and the critically injured people are transferred over there, and the police officers and the other security institutions, organization are trying to investigate this incident. But I think so it's clear, totally clear, that the attack was suicide. Bombers was there because its body parts available. We have received so many videos and pictures, and I have confirmed it from the Capitol Police Office as well. They said that this is the suicide attack. But in last almost 20 or 24 hours, we have faced the two big attacks, one in the capital city, which is 1 hour ago, and the other one which is going on right now in South Waziristan, the Wana Cadet College targeted by the TTP attackers. And they are still there. They have hit the car with the main gate of that college. After that, they have captured administration block, and they are still over there in that cadet college. I think so. The situation is in Islamabad, which is I think so. I will say that it's critical. After a very long time, I have seen this type of situation. Especially the suicide blast, almost after 8 or 9 years we have seen in Islamabad. But I think so, the situation with Afghanistan or the situation with Tehrik-e-Taliban, Pakistan, TTP, not good, and because of that, I will say that we can face so many other attacks like this in other main cities of Pakistan.
Right. With that, I would like to thank both our guests, Ambassador Suresh Goel for joining us and Mr. Fakhar Yousafzai for joining us and sharing that insight on this news. Now we move on to our next news. G7 foreign ministers have gathered in Canada to discuss key issues including the ongoing war in Ukraine and the escalating challenge of China's dominance in critical mineral supply chains. The meeting held in the Niagara region near the U.S. border aims to discuss various options to support Ukraine, including potential funding for its war needs. These talks come after U.S. President Donald Trump slapped sanctions on 2 of Russia's largest oil companies, while also urging European countries to cease purchasing oil from Russia, which he claims is funding its war efforts in Ukraine. Moreover, representatives from Saudi Arabia, India, Brazil, Australia, South Africa, Mexico, and South Korea will be joining the talks, bringing a global perspective to the discussions. The G7 meeting also follows a recent agreement among energy secretaries of the group to tackle China's dominating control over refining and processing rare earth elements. Last month, the G7 announced a series of joint projects to expand mineral refining capacity outside of China, which was a move taken to reduce dependency on Beijing's market. While the United States did not participate in the initial agreements, the Trump administration has expressed alignment with these efforts. Now for this discussion, we welcome Glenn Grant. He's an ex-advisor to Ukrainian Defense Minister, joins us live from Riga. Thank you very much, Glenn, for joining us again. Good to see you. Glenn, now looking at this, how might the G7's discussions on supporting Ukraine further shape or change current military aid strategies and long-term defense cooperation among member states for Ukraine? Also, could the recent allegation of large-scale corruption in Ukraine's energy sector affect any foreign aid inflows?
I think the first thing, I mean, the G7 is the money organization. Let's be blunt about it. That's where, a large percentage of the money in the world is with these people. So if they decide that they're going to spend a bit more money on Ukraine, they have the capacity to do that. You're right about the corruption, but I'm not sure that people are going to stop their support for Ukraine because of this corruption. I think what's more likely to happen is that they will try to put stronger checks and balances in place, a stronger national level audit, and continue to support the anti-corruption organizations that are actually digging now, today as we speak, into the energy corruption problem in Ukraine.
And building on that, what are the potential security implications of reducing dependence on China's critical mineral supply chains for all the Western defense industries who are in G7?
That's a good question, and you can't lump it all together because there are in some of the critical things that China is producing can be produced from other countries in the world. But you have to remember that all production of critical minerals is, I mean, we say it's China, but it's not, it's companies in China. Agreed, in China, those companies have national support in a way that companies in other countries don't. But if we want to replace these things and reduce our dependence upon China, then governments, especially in the G7, are going to have to actually to give incentives for mineral companies and investors to actually to both find and mine and bring to business in the right form these minerals, and that's not going to be a 5-minute job.
Right.
So I think that there will be some hard discussions about this, because nobody wants to be totally reliant upon China for things that are critical to their national survival.
And do you think that is connected to the fact that, Glenn, this year there's a lot of non-G7 countries are in these talks this time? To what extent does the inclusion of non-G7 countries in these talks signal a shift towards a more globalized defense and security framework?
Well, yeah, that is a good question. I think it might shift to be a shift on the security side, but it might also be a slightly stronger shift on the supply side of bringing in countries that can actually provide things that China is providing. Because everybody knows that they need the countries that have minerals, like Australia, which has huge untapped capacity for minerals. We need those countries inside the club, not outside the club. So there's obviously some sharpening of thinking going on at the moment about who is in our team and who can we trust and who do we want on our side going forward into the next sort of battle space, you might call it.
With that, I would like to thank Glenn Grant. Always great learning your insight on these news. Thank you very much for joining us in News 6 World. Now we move on to Asia. Tensions have resurfaced along the Thai-Cambodian border despite last month's U.S.-brokered peace deal. The Royal Thai Army has announced that hostilities still remain after a landmine blast in Thailand's Sisaket province wounded 4 soldiers on November 10th. Bangkok has suspended implementation of the Peace Pact, which was signed on October 26th in Kuala Lumpur under the mediation of U.S. President Donald Trump and Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim. The agreement aimed to end months of border clashes that has left at least 43 people dead and displaced around 300,000 civilians. Thailand's Prime Minister Anutin Charnvirakul has delayed the release of 18 captured Cambodian troops, a key part of the deal. Cambodia, meanwhile, expressed regret over the blast, saying the mines were remnants of the past conflicts and that the situation on the ground remains calm. Now for this discussion, we welcome Professor Roger Liu. He's an assistant professor of National Sut Yat-sen University, joins us live from Kaohsiung, Taiwan. Thank you very much, Professor, for joining us. Welcome to News 6 World. Professor, now looking at this, Thailand has stated that it has suspended the peace pact with Cambodia. Does this risk spiraling out of control from here?
I think this will be more like a political gesture that the new Prime Minister of Thailand, Anutin, want to show the Cambodian side, because now since, just like you said, according to a Thai part, they think that these are the new landmines being deployed by the Cambodian side. But according to the Cambodian side, they think that these are the legacy ones. So first they will have to do some fact-finding missions to find out how things are going, and then they can move on to the next step. So it makes much sense for the Thailand side to decide to temporarily halt the peace process until they find out more facts. Otherwise, if the Thailand new prime minister is just continue on the same path, he might be considered to be a weaker ones in front, not only in front of Cambodian parts, but also in front of the Thailand people and the armed groups. So he has to show some strong stances before the facts are fully discovered. So I think this the likelihood that these things will go out of control and spiraling, I think this is quite low because they have been mediated by not only the US president, but also by the ASEAN as a whole. So while a lot of mechanisms have been working, I don't think, I'm more optimistic about the future that these things will get solved in the future.
And in your assessment, how might the U.S. react since it was the Trump administration brokered pact?
Yeah, well, I don't think Donald Trump will still remember this unless Thailand and Cambodia going to wars again, but which, like I said, is quite unlikely. So the U.S. actually, well, of course, this is a great drama. I mean, Donald Trump is the main characters that he plays as a peace mediator and a peacekeeper in not only in other parts of the world, but in ASEAN as well. However, this is the ASEAN as a multilateral organization that has actually played the key role of mediating between Thailand and Cambodia. So without ASEAN, that being said, these things could not have been done. So, well, of course, well, Donald Trump will not care about this because he has much more things to worry about, like what happened in Ukraine, the new offensive from the Russian side, and all the other things, and it's trade wars with China. So unless Thailand and Cambodia go back to war again, I don't think that will raise any of its attentions.
Right. Thank you very much, Professor Liu, for sharing that. Please stay with us as we come back to you for our next discussion as well. Now, moving on, tensions between China and Taiwan remain high as China has intensified its patrols of the waters around Kinmen as Beijing dials up pressure on Taiwan. The increase in military maneuvers stems back to February 2024, when 2 Chinese nationals died in February 2024, downing by Taiwan's Coast Guard during a chase by Taiwan's Coast Guard. While the Taiwanese Coast Guard captain Huang Heng-chun and his team patrol these waters daily, they face increasing incursions from Chinese Coast Guard ships, which enter Kinmen's waters around 4 times a month. Let's in fact listen into what Taiwanese Coast Guard has said.
就很明显发现说，我们的角色有在变换了，就是说本来是单纯的，就是取缔海上所有的不法行为，那变成说现在整个会做到更多的关于国家安全的问题啊。
中国海警船的时候，那个距离其实是靠非常近的，有时候距离可能不到0.1海里，0.1海里差不多就是大概180公尺左右，真的蛮近的，就是其实还是会有压力，然后也是会觉得很危险。
是相对情势比较严峻的地方，因为它是等于是在我们国土的最前线。相信这个2位去到金门也发现，距离对岸非常的近，那纵深不足。那当然，这个纵深不足，它对于我们的应对，或对于我们采取的行动，或我们的预警等等，可能会产生一些障碍，那这些障碍就是我们目前极力去克服跟精进的，那这些其实也就是我们的一些挑战。
Now for this discussion, we welcome back Professor Roger Liu. He's assistant professor at National Sun Yat-sen University, joins us live from Taiwan. Thank you very much, Professor, for staying with us. Now, looking at this, the Taiwanese Ministry of National Defense has detected 8 sorties of Chinese military aircraft and 3 vessels. We have seen a spat of such incidents with some Chinese aircrafts even crossing the median line. How do you read into the frequency of such sorties by the PLA?
Well, like you said, the frequency of the sorties actually has been related to the current or the recent political events that has been taking place between POA and between China and Taiwan, or China with other countries like the US and Japan. And POA is one thing. The footage that you have shown is about the Coast Guards. just like the people in the Coast Guards when they're sharing their comments. Well, the Coast Guards actually are the police. So they used to have some kind of collaborated or some tacit maneuverability with the other side, which is the Chinese Coast Guard. However, now they are just like one of the person just shared. He said that now it's more like a military to military confrontations. So, well, there is no rules of engagement between those police, maritime police forces. So how to establish a new way of dealing with each other actually is something that we have to take care of. And the other thing is that, like he said, Cayman Island is just like several nautical miles away from the mainland of China. So there is no depth for the two coast guards to maneuver against each other. It's not like between Taiwan Strait, actually. Taiwan Strait is like 100 plus nautical miles away from each other. So the Cayman place can be a possible hotspot for the future. And China have tried to use this to maneuver Taiwan's capabilities to join hands with other coast guards like in the Philippines and others. So I think this is something that the Taiwanese has to pay attention to.
Right. With that, I would like to thank Professor Liu for joining us and sharing that insight throughout our news. Thank you very much. Now moving on, rescuers in the Philippines are digging out communities devastated by Typhoon Fangwong as floodwaters recede and the storm's death toll has risen to 18 people. Over 1.4 million people were displaced and entire towns remain cut off due to landslides. Fangwong, now a severe tropical storm, follows Typhoon Kalmaegi, which killed more than 230 people last week. Meanwhile, the recovery efforts face major challenges, including clearing roads, restoring power, and fixing water supply lines that could take weeks. Separately, Taiwan braces for heavy rain as Fangwong approaches, prompting school and office closures. Scientists warn that storms are intensifying due to climate change, making life increasingly dangerous for coastal communities in the region. That's all we have time for. Keep watching NewsX World for more news updates from around the world.
What